What's up, everybody? Welcome to Wits In Podcast. I'm your host, Devin Witt, alongside my co-host, Joe the Show. And,
Put my phone down for all the haters,
yeah,
for the moment anyway.
yeah, I'm sure we're going to draw a few more in, but at least we hopefully won't be getting shot at.
Well, we'll see how it's all said and done.
Yeah, no.
Especially when you start saying, government conspiracy.
Look, my Saturday afternoon was nice because, like, I think my wife was about to get in the pool or something like that. And, oh yeah, take the kids swimming, and then I hop on X for just a few minutes, and I see the president, and going down, and I was just blown away. I had no idea that could happen at one of his own rallies. And it just begs the question immediately. I was like, wow, like, was this planned? Or how could they possibly mess up this bad on allowing a former president to get shot?
Well, there's a lot of things wrong. Well, wrong. Yeah, there's things wrong.
Yeah,
That's another way to put it. Because when it happened, the first thing, one of the first things that started happening was people pointing fingers. This was, an inside job. I don't get into all that, so we'll just leave it inside job because we're going to talk about some different aspects of that. I don't get into that government conspiracy theory crap at all. But this one, I'm not sitting here there saying that it was a inside job, but there's some answers that I would like to have to prove to me that it's not. One of those being, there's several, but one of them is this shot was taken by supposedly a 20-year-old at 150 meters, 164 yards, a bit different, but they're very relatively close. That's really a pretty close shot. Now, I don't know the gun. They're saying it was an AR-15. I don't know if it's scoped or not. They didn't say that. But I have issues that either way because there's a lot of press saying this is the same qualifications that's what the Army has to qualify at 150 meters. I do or don't know that. I do or don't know that. I don't know that factually because I wasn't in the Army, but in the Marine Corps, you have to qualify at 200, 300, and 500 meters with open sights. So what I know is that's a relatively easy shot by somebody that's trained.
Make that.
Now, that's open sights. None of this other scopes and whatever optics you want to call a name here. The flip side of that is, that's somebody that's skilled. There's some training involved. But I could point to hundreds, if not thousands, of people that have no military training can take a 150-yard shot all day long, no problem at all.
Kids.
And not make a bad shot. Now, all I'm saying by that is, well, and let me just explain that a little bit further. To sit here for people to sit here and say, and judge one way or the other about the shot and how it took. Well, look at it from the reverse side. The person that shot this 20-year-old kid didn't miss. He didn't just nick his ear. So we're talking relatively same amount of distance in between. That shot wasn't missed. So there's a problem there, but that can be debated. That's more from a military perspective. I'm not necessarily asking you to chime in on that, but it's really fishy because that's actually a relatively easy shot to make. I could make a I don't want to say the words I want to say, but I could shoot a milk jug freehanded at 150 meters, no problem at all. That would not be a hard shot. And this dude was laying down in a prone, which is the ideal position to shoot from, and he misses a shot. I understand now. Beginning, I know I'm not trying to take up all the mic time here, but I want people to understand. I'm trying to lay a foundation to this, and so you can see how screwed up this is. Because what this was is he took, just that right angle with his head, and it clipped his ear. Okay, now that tells me something about that shooter. Okay, because Trump did not turn fast enough. He ain't dodging a bullet. We're not in the Matrix here. Okay, so that tells me something about that shooter. That tells me pretty much he's gun shy and he has no training. And so what that kid did was one of a couple of things. When he pulled that trigger, he probably closed his eyes like most people do, and that gun flinched before he pulled the trigger. Okay, it speaks to something of that shooter. A trained person won't do that. They're not going to miss that shot. Believe me, just take my word for it, people. Please believe me. At 150 meters, a trained person's not going to miss that shot. Okay, so it says something about that. There's no training and all this other stuff. Now, I just want people to paint this picture. This kid is going to be painted as mentally unstable. He was bullied. That stuff's already coming out. I'm not surprised by that. That's always the case with somebody that shoots something up. But looking at this from an aspect of a government conspiracy, I guess let's just break it down from the start with this kid on the roof.
Yeah. The problem of it is that it goes deeper than just the kid on the roof, because the biggest question is how did they get there? And
He walked.
a lot of people said, obviously, in an area that should have been off limits, which is the rooftops, 150 yards away from a former president. You know, I just, to me, it hurt to watch that video because, and I almost cried. You know, I hate to admit that. Not too many videos where I see someone get shot and I have any kind of emotion to it. And it's not because I'm heartless. It's just, it is what it is. But to see that happen and to understand, like, if he had actually been, like, hit, you know, we could be looking at dark times. And that's what I hate to think about for our countries, that we're at that point. You know, especially if you're a young person, because one person dying like that shouldn't be the one who gets to decide that's enough and we need to go to war now. But on the other hand, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
And, you know, if he had died, I would forever go down in history blaming the deep state and the Secret Service, Joe Biden, etc. Because, you know, you do have people in positions of power that maybe don't need to be. And, you know, how can I say that? Because look at the Republican National Convention and what's going on there. Knowing that Trump is going to be there, I think, tonight, and they aren't even beefing up security.
Well, I mean, the security aspect, you know, I know it's a punch. I've talked to you about this just previously, but like, like America's like, I can't believe the president got shot. One is 150 meters. Is that your security perimeter? I set bigger perimeters for that for myself in a combat. So you know why? Because they can shoot that far. Well, it's common sense. Next to that, whenever we were moving ambassadors and stuff like that. Again, that's such a small distance. But jokingly, but seriously, we sneak cocaine into the White House and it gets by. You think they can protect the president?
Yeah,
I mean, you see the point
anymore.
Here is how, why am I saying that this is a cover up or a conspiracy? No, but just look at these things, or if anything, you don't want to say government conspiracy. Look how incompetent this is. And then they've got these, the President Trump, I could probably Google it. Maybe I should have. However tall he is, we'll say he's 5'11". I don't know. Then his people that's supposed to be protecting him. I mean, this is common sense, people. Those agents are supposed to be a bullet sponge if crap breaks out. Now, explain to me how somebody that's 6 inches, 7 inches, a foot shorter can actually body cover the president when you're shorter than him, because you're leaving his head open again to take another shot.
Well, and he was able to fight his way past them to raise his fist, which, by the way,
horrible job by the secret, the people that covered him. I mean, it's just horrible. I don't care what people say in the media. They should be a hero, and they should, I'm just picking it out for what I see. I'm not taking a bullet for either one of them. That's just facts. Yeah. But the thing of it is, like, you didn't do your job. I don't care how much all the people that's inexperienced and doesn't know anything about that. Their response time was horrible. The way they handled it was horrible. The way they escorted him out was horrible. And then you're right, he gets in his, the vehicle to leave. If you can see in a photo, you can see a clear picture of him raising his hand. That is the same picture that somebody has looking down the scope of a rifle.
Yeah, I know.
They're supposed to cover him. They didn't do that.
It's not good. And on top of that, how long did they keep him there? It was like they had him right there at the podium for like over a minute.
Yeah.
So that alone, it's like if there was a second shooter, or what if they hadn't actually gotten the original guy already. That it just puts him in immense danger rather than as soon as it happened, getting him down, getting him out of there.
This is a
It
whole
was insane.
Yeah, it's messed up, and what I find ironic in this whole mess, and not to take away from the tragedy and stuff like that, is the very thing. Okay, so supposedly an AR-15 is what was used to shoot at President Trump, or former President Trump. Either way, the very thing that he used. Now they had in the pictures protecting what were they using? No, they weren't using AR-15s, M16s, some variant of that, but it's basically the same gun. And I'm like, how come you want to take us from using those guns to protect ourselves, but yet you seem A-okay that you need those guns to protect you? I have an issue with that.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is, we don't need. Here's their argument: we don't need that many to go kill a deer or a skunk or whatever stupid thing you want to try to interject there. It doesn't matter. Some people are horrible shots, and that's why they needed more. Point proven in this one. I'm sorry, but I know I'm being a little smart aleck on the edge there, but it's irrelevant to how many bullets are in that gun. Proven here, he got off I don't know how many rounds, and the best he could pull off was popping the dude's ear. Like, again, that's the difference between somebody that's trained and somebody that's not.
No, and it is, but the more unfortunate part about the lack of security is that someone did end up losing their life, and another person still got injured, and neither one of those things have to happen if you just neutralize them whenever you see a man on a building prone with a gun aimed in the direction of your client, like, protect the guy.
You look at the situation, and you're right. You said people lost their life. There was some other people are injured. And hey, people can call it what they want. I don't see Biden doing anything for that family. I don't know what that was. Either way, I don't see Biden doing anything for the family to really contribute something to that to help them out. But yet here Trump comes along on his own and starts this GoFundMe, and within just a short amount of time has over $300,000. And that doesn't take away or make the death go away or the grieving process, but he's doing something because this tragically hit these people.
I saw something like there was some fund, and this was probably 2 or 3 hours ago, where now it was over $4 million, and I was like, oh my goodness. No. But on the other hand, thank goodness that people are reaching out to help these families, because what a gruesome way to go out. And I'd seen like a little viral news story that was talking about whenever that gentleman who passed away, he was a firefighter. Well, I guess there was another firefighter in a town in Pennsylvania who decided to make a comment on Facebook saying that he wished that the shooter hadn't missed. And so, as a result...
I'm going to step out for just a second. Go ahead and keep talking. I'm listening.
So, as a result, the guy ended up getting fired because of all the backlash he was receiving online from people on social media. And, I personally don't advocate for people to lose their jobs and stuff like that, but on the other hand, like, if I'm a firefighter and I see that a fellow firefighter lost their life defending his family, why would I make a comment about the person he chose to support politically? Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, he shouldn't have made comments like, basically I wish the other person dead, because that's where we're at. This kid took it upon himself that his generation, this kid just had more balls than the next guy, I guess, or somebody, for all the other viewpoints, is they gave him enough money to do it. Well, I mean, you got to go both sides.
His family, he knew
you shouldn't have to killing people, but, to get your way, and I'm sorry, I do not, in the aspect of what people are going to think I do, support Trump. But you got to look at the other side of this. I'm not saying that people should go, okay, well, it should have been Biden, because there's people that saying that too.
I know, which is wrong.
It is. He's incompetent. I don't care It doesn't take. I don't care about no psyche. I don't have to. He doesn't have to take no test to prove anything to me. He's incompetent for the job. He's a horrible president. But I don't think he needs, to be handled the same way, and that's what he shouldn't do that. That's how people try to resolve things like we'll just kill him. Well, the thing of it is somebody's going to step up in that spot. It's not just like, oh, it's a shoe-in, he automatically wins. And what this, kid doesn't understand, in my opinion, handed him the election.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely did, because even if you're a Democrat, it's hard to not feel patriotic about your country whenever he got up the way that he did and, said fight, fight, fight. Now, I'm sure at some point, I think I've already seen it done on at least one news outlet where they're turning that into like him aggravating the crowd and trying to get them to react. Which is just bananas to me. I mean, but next to that, at the end of the day, this is not good for anyone to be advocate. Like, I wish America and politicians both would chill out on the polarization of making it seem like, we're so divided whenever there's a lot of things that we all enjoy. Like, I think at the end of the day, everyone wants their family to love them and to be able to provide for the people they care about. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, we always
there's commonalities in people in general, and I don't want to go back, but I think you said something there that we need to make fun of and flesh out and talk about. So he said the word fight, 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 got blood running his face. That picture is going to make him millions alone. I mean, it just is. But when I first heard that, my thought wasn't he's starting problems or anything. My thought was he knows he got shot or believes he did, because you could hear the bangs and he's, whatever. He knows he got shot. I think it's just a scenario of hundreds or thousands of people. He's like, fight, fight. Like, hey, there's a gunman out here. Fight for your life. I don't think it was anything negative. That's the way I took it from what he was saying. But I want to address that issue because, he was facing charges because he supposedly instigated an issue, in the White House. Now, that's not necessarily the focal point here, but we got to keep this in context, people. And you Democrats need to pull your head out your butt and listen to what I'm saying in context. And I'm going to break this down so you morons can understand this. And I'm not talking just Democrats, morons. I'm talking to anybody that's incompetent. You can't pull your head out far enough to see daylight. Listen to what I'm saying. They're going after Trump because he supposedly said some things that instigated a fight, or an overrun of the White House. So are we going to hold Biden accountable for making a comment saying it's time to put a bullseye on Trump?
I mean, it's definitely insightful.
So he makes this comment on two occasions, if I'm not mistaken, but he makes this comment. Fact, these things, go to the internet. It doesn't lie, people. It's there. But anyway, he said this, documented, recorded, aired. He said this. And then this happens. So again, I'm not saying the government's behind this, but look at what he said, and this is what has happened. So you get to understand what I said. Morons, pull your head out and pay attention. You're trying to hold Trump accountable to something he said, and then something happened. Trump said something happened. It may have not have been because of that, but you know what? He said it. And a president of the United States should have better wisdom and judgment to start piping stuff up like that. And then now that it did happen, he should be accountable and for his words.
And I do agree with you, but then I'm sure they have a whole, tape or a whole clips ready to go about something little that Donald Trump has said during his presidential run and presidency, etc. So it can be a back and forth all you want.
Well, maybe, but let's look at it from a real level. What if I said that? You'd have there's a very big potential, especially on a platform like this, bigger, small. You get on air and make comments just like Biden did. Just like Biden did. I made that comment about the president or even Trump. You don't think that the FBI, CIA, Secret Service, somebody at some point very quickly is going to be knocking on my door and wanting to interrogate the crap out of me to see if that's a credible threat? Well, but yet the president of the United States can make comments like that and nothing happens. Different standards, different strokes for different folks. That government can do what they want, and they have a whole different set of laws for those politicians than the average the person that, and that's a problem. It's been that way for a long time.
But you also have to pay to be a part of that club.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is, for me, I guess, is like that's why I don't focus so much on the presidential election, more so on local government, because that's where the real things matter, especially in a state like Oklahoma, because even though it's a red state, that doesn't mean the people who say they're Republican are immediately great people that are going to change how the state's ran. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, people just talk on political platforms to get into office, and once they get into office, they do what they want. That's proven with president after president. We're going to help the black people. We're going to help the Hispanic people. Man, and do they talk a good game? But when they become in office, that doesn't happen. They don't have the power. That's the thing. People are ignorant when they vote. Like, we're going to put them in, and yes, they have power to veto and all this other stuff, but, it has to go through the House and Senate and all these other things. They don't have as much power as what people want to make it believe, Well,
and, I feel like there's so many ways that you can go with that, because it also makes me think about the person that Donald Trump chose as his vice president. Are you aware of who that is?
It was Pence. Are you this time? This time, no, I haven't paid enough attention to it.
So it just happened probably 2 hours ago.
Well, people's gonna be, for me, I know people like, no, I don't pay enough attention. Let me tell you where my stance on it. I'm not voting for Biden, and so the only choice that I've got left is just like this government did whenever it was Hillary and Trump. I'm not necessarily saying that I was a Trump supporter, but I didn't have no choice. I had to vote the less of two evils, and that's what I'm going to have to do again this time.
Yeah, for a third
time. So it's not like you're ill-informed. You didn't watch the debates. Don't need to. My choice ain't being made because Trump's so good. My choice is being made because Biden's so bad.
Oh my gosh.
Well, there you go.
And at the end of oh my gosh, I keep getting stuck on my words. That is the point, is that under these circumstances right now, Biden is not capable of running the country. And I was hearing that there's rumors about Democrat donors are willing to pull their funds if Biden continues to run as president, because they don't think he can win, especially now that this attempted assassination has taken place. So as long as Donald Trump can survive, I don't know what they're going to do to Biden, but hopefully it's not similar to what they attempted to do here.
Wheelchair. Put him in a nursing home.
The problem of it is that they're waiting for natural causes rather than the tipping of the scale, if you know what I mean. And I don't know, like it's sad, but I don't trust the people at the very top. I think they're all out for long-term power, and they like positions that you don't have to be elected, and they like to stay in.
Yeah, they want, like, I don't know, kings and queens and predecessors to continue. I don't know. It's a mess. This whole thing is messed up. So anyway, so he takes this, man, there's just so many aspects of this to try to peel off. And, so let's talk about the women being involved, because that's been the hype on the internet. This is not just like, oh my gosh, Joe and Devin on Wits End podcast are being sexist and talk about women. No, we're addressing the issues that seems to be everybody else wants to talk about. And hey, in this, it does affect the security of whomever they're guarding, so I can go in, and take a shot at this first. I don't really care if it makes people upset. I'm not going to say women shouldn't do it. I'm not going to say that. But from my take on it is this: if President, here, look this up on my phone and find out how. See, that's why I have my phone here for all you people, because I don't know how tall Donald Trump is, but I want to try to make a, don't look at some of those pictures. They're not, just messing with you. I don't want to say here and make a statement or try to show my aspect thing, if talk a little bit out of line anyway.
6'3".
Oh dang.
Yeah, I was like, I think he's
really
6 foot. I thought he was 6'2".
I was
6'3".
He looks short.
And
okay, well,
cameras.
Dang.
Big shoulders.
Dang, transsexuals might have a job after all. After I finish this statement, we'll see. Okay, so here's my if this dude is 6'3", there's got to be somewhere. I'm going to say 6 foot, 6'1" minimum height required to guard him, and here's the reason why. Because when you're guarding him, you are a bullet sponge. You are any extra shots, any fire. The first one, obviously, they're not going to be right there, which that can be debated too. Their response time. So they're a bullet sponge. They're supposed to get on, protect him, whatever, and get out. Well, you've got this little lady beside him. I'm not saying she did a bad job. I can't say that either. She needs to protect him. We're not talking about guns here, knives, or nothing like that. No hand grenade. We're not just talking body. You're a bullet sponge. That's what they're for, people. In case you didn't know that, how you cannot protect him if you are not the right size. Okay, if he's 6'3", somewhere along the line, if you're 5'3", or even 5'8" or 9, you've got several inches of difference. At a minimum, you are going to leave his head exposed. And what you'll see in that video is that's exactly what in the video or in the pictures and everything else, you see just that. They left his body exposed on numerous occasions. And so for one, you've got people on the internet slamming her, or the females, and rightly so, but it's not so much at females. It's like, you're not fit for this job. And it's not, but here's the thing. It's just like every other black person tries to, that's what's going to happen. If this was a black person, they'd be like, you're racist. You're only saying that because I'm black. Well, that's what I'm saying here is they're saying it because I'm a woman. No, we're not being sexist. We're saying you're not fit for the job because you're not tall enough. Well, you can't do that. Oh, you want to bet? Go enlist in the United States Marine Corps right now. If you do not meet certain criteria, you will never be a security guard at the White House.
Okay, I think there's actually 2 different instances with the same lady. I could be wrong, but either way, there were 2 different instances where the Secret Service was like less than presidential for their coverage. And the first one being one of them, the female security guard was like behind the president instead of in front of him, protecting him or over him. And then the second one was that whenever she couldn't put the pistol back in her holster. I almost said waistband, but I'm like, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
And look, at the end of the day, whenever you're in a situation like that, and on top of that, like they didn't know where to go or what to do, and they stayed right there on the podium for
too long,
the entire time,
way too long.
And that alone is like insane. It's like waiting for another shooter to come at you, and so as an American, I just feel like we were let down, and I really hope that we can come together like as a nation. I know we won't because too many people, number one, were making fun of it in a really funny way. Like I couldn't help but laugh, but on the other hand, it's like that's where we're at. Like if you can't laugh about it, you got to cry about it.
There's so many from a security standpoint. I'm not a professional on it. I've done enough of it to know there's just some things that's flawed. And the only reason I'm even bringing it up, I ain't sit here and pick these people apart. This is what everybody's going to. It's like President Trump, the security detail screwed up. That woman's too short. That woman's too fat. That guy's too, whatever. It's all that type of stuff. And there's truth to that. Like you see the videos and people. I break this down for dummy style so you can understand it. So when that bullet was first fired, if there is ever a picture of his Donald Trump's body, which there is, not necessarily the best word to use, but if you can see his face, you can see his arm, you can see his legs, that means he was exposed and could have been shot.
Yeah,
because if that camera can catch it, that guy looking through the scope can do the same thing.
Yeah,
and he's exposed. And the thing of it is, he was very exposed. We're not talking like, people out there, because I know you're going to pick me apart of my words. We're not talking about you seeing a little shirt sleeve pop out. No, we're talking about whenever he stands in a vehicle and he's making, the gesture, whatever, and you can see basically from here up, they're not covering him. And in fact, in that situation, if they were doing their job and properly trained, they would have not let him do that. They would have pushed him, as politely as you can, a former president, and made him get in that vehicle. That's their job, not to say, oh, Mr. President, you can override me. We'll just, okay, go ahead, give everybody a fist bump, fight, go out here and continue your speech. Now, what would have made this situation so much better that nobody wants to talk about? And I would have loved to seen this. Would have loved to see it. If he got shot, blood running down his face, boom, boom, they shoot this kid. He steps back out there and takes his mic and continues talking.
Yeah, I know. I almost wondered if he was going to like get back up to the microphone and say like, you know, we're going to get these guys. You know,
that would have been
I know.
So
we're going to get
bad in
this.
so many ways. and I mean, not that I don't have some level of respect, but I mean, like, I don't care what you do as president. You got my vote, dude.
No, what he did was epic, and it's one of those, like, you got to put, like, I'm proud to be an American on there, or God bless America.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You know, like something just super amazing. But here we are. You know, that's where we're at, is that as a young person, you would think that that's the best way you can make an impact on your society. You know, and did you see any of the reports about him being like bullied and stuff like that?
Well,
in high school and
anybody that shoots a school, mass shooting, you know, something crazy, they've always been bullied at school. They always had a rough upbringing. They're always mentally unstable. I knew that card was going to get played, and I don't know that it's true or not, but the thing of it is, it always happens. Maybe that's true to a degree, and well, not maybe. I think there's true to a degree. You ain't right just to get up there and do that to begin with. I mean, I don't care who you are. Something's not right. You know, like, I've been pissed off at a lot of people, and I'm like, okay, fine. I think I'm going to try to shoot a world leader to try to figure this out. I'm like, no, you're not mentally there. I mean, they're like, oh, he has mental issues. Really? We pay you millions of dollars a year to figure this out?
I know.
But yeah, they go to the bullying thing, and that's the thing. He was bullied in high school. He was an ugly little fat kid, you know, all these little things, you know. I'm not saying they said that about him, but yeah, I have read that. I'm sorry. But yeah, I have read that.
And both of his parents were social workers. That was another one. I'm like, oh, man, I can only imagine.
And it was his dad's gun, supposedly.
Yeah,
let's see. The VP's laws didn't work, did they?
Well,
because they want you to lock them all up and then hold the parents liable, you know, liable for that whenever your kid breaks into it and gets it. Yeah.
Well,
her drug policy didn't work. No wonder this one didn't either.
Now, allegedly, the dad his story is that he gave his son the firearm to go to the shooting range, and
he did.
And that in the afternoon he.
Well, everybody's definition might be a little different.
That afternoon, he tried calling him, couldn't get a hold of him, and then after he saw what happened on the news, he called, and the police came out, and that's, you know, they started talking to him, etc. Mm-hmm. But either way, I'm like trying to imagine being that kid's parents, and number one, the horror of like, oh man, you know, the shame that you have to feel. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, it's mentally...
You wouldn't feel shame. Like,
it would be mentally exhausting. And, the remorse, you know, like, my kid did that.
My kid, yeah.
You know? Yeah, so and then there's the other side as a parent, because parents are stupid these days. You know, they're like, he was a good kid. He never did anything like that. Yeah. You know, I hear that from parents so many times so people can understand where I'm coming from, is like, oh... You know, we found him in the bathroom dead because they OD'd on drugs, but he's never done drugs his whole life. He's such a good person. He's never smoked weed. He's never even taken too many Tylenols. Yeah, BS on that. I'm not saying those cases don't happen, but they're rare, just like the whole abortion thing. I don't need to, you know, like, oh, we have to have abortion because people incest. Well, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's such a small percentage. Yeah, like, it's an invalid argument, and that's what I'm saying here. And that's kind of what I'm saying in regards to that. It's like, you know, that's what you'll probably hear. He's not that type of person. He's got I only know of one person. I'm not trying to go backwards here. But I only know of one account that's given anything that said he was bullied. The only thing I read on it was one person said, oh, he was a kid at school that was bullied, and he sat at the lunch table by himself. I sit at the lunch table myself because I wasn't bullied. It's like, I don't want to listen to y'all because you're stupid.
Yeah, but
so there's different definitions to that.
They would say horrible things to him, though, but he couldn't think of any offhand. No,
Yeah.
not
Probably because it
directly.
was him doing it.
Yeah.
He's like, oh man, I felt bad. I didn't do that. Like,
Yeah.
but here's a scenario, man. That's real life, though. People, you got to face that. Like his dad,
Uh,
like we got to find out if his dad actually gave him the gun or if he broke into it. I'm sorry, man. My kid, no, dude, he took it. He did. He ain't saying nothing.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And
I would-
and it's very ironic too. Now that I say that, in a half, I mean, it's truth. It's very ironic that this kid's dead because he can't nothing.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Whenever we talk about government conspiracies,
Yeah,
this
Can't
famous
take
word,
him
dead
alive.
people can't talk. Yeah, there's true. You know why? Because they don't want nothing spilt if it was.
Yep.
You know,
Now
we-
I'm glad they did. Now I say that like I don't want anyone to die, but I'm glad that they took him out rather than letting him get any more shots off. You know what I mean?
yeah, but how do you know that? How do you know that they're like, oh, we're gonna go talk to his parents? How do you know that wasn't payment delivery
What do you mean?
for a job done?
It could have been.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, people. I'm really pushing out here on this.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Like
it
it's,
could be.
I can't rule it out that they release information such at a snail pace. Like we shouldn't know what's going on, but yet other things, man, you have a school shooting and this shooting ain't even done and you've already got the release.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like the biggest question for me is, where's the manifesto? That's probably the best one I've seen online. Like, because they always get that one pretty dang quick whenever they go through the home.
Yeah.
But
Or
yet
the
they
nursing
can't
home
find
because
it.
he worked at like a nursing home, right? Like a dietary aid. I think that's what. Yeah, I know I read that he was I don't want to say a nursing home, but he worked with people as a dietary aid. So I'm thinking it was nursing home.
Had homemade bombs, and this is all
Yeah,
allegedly. I have no idea.
no, it did not say bombs. The wordage, and people need to understand that. And I'm not trying to call you out, but people got to understand he had explosives.
Oh,
Well, the gasoline I put in my car is an explosive. That's the thing. They leave it. What
yeah, that's
I want you to
true.
understand what I'm getting at
Yeah.
is they use the word explosives. Well, if you take a battery, it's an explosive. If you do, you get it. You take a battery. You probably some of them you shoot it and just boom, it's blow battery out. So it's an explosive.
Yeah.
It's a component. And see, that's the thing. They say, well, yeah, and he had it components. What? A cell phone detonator, a watch, or a timer. You see, that's why I hate it when they do that nonsense. Well, see, he had explosives or explosive components. That don't tell me nothing. Now, if you come here and said, yeah, the dude had 20 pounds of C4, he had some, I'm okay. Okay.
But then they show
Hey,
that.
he's got 20 hand grenades and some Claymore mines back there. He had, okay, now, yeah, dude's freaking, yeah, that's an issue.
yep.
Yeah. But they don't. He had explosives. What? Had a bomb squad? Yeah. Okay, well, big deal. That to me, that's so stupid for you even to say that, because to me that's protocol. They find a dude that just shot at the former president. They find his car. What do you do? Just go, okay, well, you just go open the door? No. You would do what I was trained to do in the military. You would be searching that, and they have for that aspect, they have way more resources than what we had. You're going to be checking underneath it. Mirrors at a minute, getting underneath it, inside, outside, forever touch anything. And like, come on, man! Like, you give us details. If you don't want this turning around and thrown in your face, then at least prove to me that something.
That's the thing, though, is but you also potentially put out more than what you want, especially if you're trying to control the narrative. Do you see what I'm like? I feel like there's levels to letting things.
Well, no, you mean you
Come
let
out.
certain things out, then you got it's the famous thing you're taught when you're a kid. You lie, then you have to tell another lie to cover that lie, and then two
Yeah,
more lies to cover that lie, and then you just get so deep into it you just can't cover it anymore. That's what they're afraid of.
Yeah.
If that's the case, but we know that's the case in several other things. I said that many things we know the government's lying about, and they get caught in another lie and another one. So I'm not saying that's the case here. I'll make myself crystal clear. I've said that, but I'm just looking at it for what the information is that we're given, and it's very little.
Yeah, and I don't know. Anytime they just have like a lone deranged gunman who somehow gets this close to a guy like Donald Trump, I just really question if that was actually just him or did someone let him get up there and do that.
And there's eyewitnesses that said
And
they
how, really, because it's not they did let him. but it's like how and why.
Well, I painted that picture earlier. Did he just walk up there with the gun? Was it there the day before? Which, those may never be answered. But, the thing of it is what we kind of say we do know. I don't know how factually, but we have people that's basically, there's a dude up here, and they didn't do anything.
I know.
They didn't respond.
Yep.
And then we have accounts of a cop, and I don't understand the situation, but the cop goes up there, according to what I read, and the gunman points a gun at him, and he retreats. And so now I kind of look at that scenario like, what should have he had done? I don't know because I wasn't there. I can see both sides. I'm not going to criticize the cop per se. I would have been like, I would have just shot him. That's just me. Because I mean, there's not an explanation.
Like into the ground, maybe?
No, heck no, I'm not. Because how do you know as a Secret Service agent that if you're a cop up there and you just shoot a gun to get attention, they don't shoot you because thinking you're trying to take a shot? Like, no, you don't do that.
When he retreated, so like what I'm saying, at least whenever you retreat, bam, bam, like alert everyone. So that way then it's like, oh, we need to get Donald Trump down.
Well, no, not necessarily, because there's a level of mass chaos that you want to control, and you don't want to cause that. Now, I understand that that's going to happen as a byproduct because he's shot and everything else. But to be fair, you cause that chaos, it gives him a chance to get away. And to be fair, they don't have that much. They're not. I don't think they're fast enough to respond that quick. They're just not. To respond like, what the heck was that? Diagnose it. Oh, there's a guy up here. There's too many radio communications, chaos on those comms. I'm not saying he got away, but I think he had a potential of that. What I'm getting at with that is, he gets up there, the gunman points again, and he retreats. I don't know what the radio traffic looked like. I don't know what their comms were saying or whatever. But the bottom line, it didn't get handled straight away. So, I can't fault him. But on the same hand, I don't know the back end. Like when he pulled away, was it just like, because see, I've got to be fair to this, people. I've got to be fair to this. How do I not? He just pops up there and he's like, yeah, our gunman's in place. Backs out. But it's plausible when you start looking at this. How do I know that cop wasn't a second party in? Just like, yeah, he's in place.
Well, that's what, yeah. Like,
and back off. I don't know.
Undercover. Yeah.
I'm not trying to say that he is, but like, give us some why? You really a guy gets beat to death, by cops, and the video's out like the next day, and somebody's like, start releasing information so the public can understand and gauge this for what it is, not what we think it is.
Well, it's a federal crime now.
Well, so what? There's federal crimes on Hunter Biden. They want to post that stuff all over, which is nothing, nowhere close to this, which I get. But
because he left his laptop.
Well, laptop and drugs and snuck drugs into the White House, but yet nobody knows that it was him for sure, and because, we have such horrible but good, footage of the White House, and I said that earlier. We can't even keep cocaine out of the White House, and then they expect to, we can guard the president. Like, I'd have fired every one of you, and maybe that's what Trump's going to do is open up another. You're fired.
So he gets into office. What do you think he's going to do? Anything to try and kind of exact revenge on the people he feels like was going after him during this time frame and 2020?
Well, if he's going to go after people that took a shot at him and he thinks it's an inside job, he better have some darn good evidence to back it, because I mean, you can't even come at Biden. Now, the comments he's made are kind of damning. We've already discussed that. But you can't come at somebody and say you're responsible for somebody shooting at me. That's a pretty hard darn accusation. You better have something backing it up, just because of a hunch. Now, I'm adding all the pieces up. This does not just blend all together, just swell and just kosher, because there's too many things that are wrong with this whole scenario. They're even their response time. We haven't talked about their response time to the shooter was screwed up. And the time from the shots to getting on stage, I would say, was relatively quick, for what it is. But then you stay on stage. How many was on stage? I think in my memories, I'm trying to look at this video in my mind. There was like 3 or 4 of them on stage with him.
Are you talking about like?
So the shots the shots got fired, and he goes behind the podium, and then they swarm on top of him.
Yeah.
There was how many that you?
I would say like 4 or 5.
Okay, so 4 or 5. Okay, so there's 4 or 5. They're on stage. This dude's at an AR-15. We'll say he was trained. Probably 30 plus rounds of ammunition. I mean, they hold 30 rounds is the bottom line. I mean, you can get more, you can get less. All he's got to do in a minute of an unskilled person, you could take 5 people out easily. And now, he's exposed again. I mean, a minute's a long time with a gun. It doesn't matter. Even if it was a bolt gun, even if it was a single shot, you could do that. It's not complicated. So again, then there's this stalling. It's kind of like, I've seen the video. There is a look of confusion, a look of what am I supposed to do?
Yeah,
it's like one runs left, one runs right, one's going. It's like, there was confusion. And that's why I say I don't think they did their job well. And so when you look at that, it
reflects America and how America feels about every other 3-letter agency that tells you they're there to protect us and make sure that we are not put in harm's way.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. That's the only way I know how to correlate it, because if you really look at not just the Secret Service, but healthcare system, etc. The list goes on. Just think about it.
They're not there. They're all. If you get into the healthcare side of it, they're in playing with the big pharma. I don't care what people say about that. It's a money game. And again, people, Joe, you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I do. These things are easily proven if you just look at facts. And I know this is so unrelated to what we're talking about, but just to prove my point, and I've said this, I think, in another episode, one of the biggest problems in America right now is obesity. Yet there is medication out there. Yes, it's for diabetics. I get that. But it can be used for weight loss with relatively little side effects and has been proven successful. People are getting this stuff on the black market. They're going across not state lines, but border lines to get this medication, getting around some of these loopholes. But the FDA can approve a COVID vaccine in stinking no amount of time, but they have to sit here and pump the brakes on this, and they can't approve a weight loss medication for people, which is killing people. It's killing people. Way more, I'm going to tell you, there's more people dying of obesity, heart attack related, stroke related, than there is from stinking COVID.
I know, but it's just not as fast, quite the way we want it.
And that's what I'm getting at. They got to get their money out of this. I firmly believe it's somewhere down a pipeline that's going to get an approval once this crap dies off. But that's my point. They've got their hands in these freaking pockets, and you can bet that is one of the biggest reasons why this will never get pushed through. And amongst many other medications, it's like that. I firmly believe this. Can't prove it, but I think that there's cancer treatments out there. It's the same way. I think there's cures for not every cancer. I'm not saying, okay, here, take this pill, you're cancer free. I think that there's medical advances right now that's out there in those fields that can cure, if not make people better, and we don't have access to them.
And why not? Because obviously you could be a paying customer, and no company would stay in business for very long.
Well, there's
a nonprofit.
There's reasons for these things. When you look at the healthcare, this is a big deal because, our healthcare, Social Security, Medicare and Medicaid, we're paying for these people that's lower income and stuff like that. It's because of our economy. You're not putting them in you're not doing anything to put anybody in a better financial situation to dig themselves out of that poverty level. Next to that, we keep funding every freaking person that wants to jump across the border, and we have to give them medical insurance because they're in the land of the free, home of the brave, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, land of the free, that's for darn sure around here. It's just here's the handout line. It's not an immigration border, it's a handout line. And so we're paying for all this illegal, it's illegal stuff. We have to, whatever, that we shouldn't be doing. And then it hurts to actually the American people, because we're having to dump millions and billions of dollars into stuff, and it takes away from us because the money just ain't there.
Well, and part of it too is because lobbyists pay those politicians to leave them alone whenever it comes to price fixing and ultimately price gouging people whenever they're paying for their medications or any other part of the healthcare process.
And we get into this. Excuse me. We get into these things. We already know, and that's what my concern with this thing is. I'm talking about. I want information. I want to see what's happened with this shooter and Trump and everything else. But hey, we already know. Know that the FBI has been involved on social media platforms, shutting them down and hushing them up. So I don't know that we're going to get anything. More. You're going to get just whatever they're going to give you. That's just a fact. I mean, that's no brainer there. But I don't think they're going to ever release it because you shouldn't know. But it doesn't take a genius. I'm not trying to go way back into history and pull this old JFK thing and say that was an inside job and a cover-up. But I can tell you just common sense from what I know of years of hunting and the military, being in a combat zone, seeing those things, I can tell you there's more to that story than what you're being told. When you shoot somebody and they go the opposite direction than what, the common sense, people. This is not something you have to, some scientific method to be like, oh, it went this way. Like, that what you're being told whenever shots this way and he goes forward. No, it don't work like that, man. Like, that is not how that works. And so that I'm not saying I'm saying they're lying. I'm not saying that partially they may be telling the truth, but was there another person there? Was there multiple people who actually took that shot? Well, I'm saying that because I kind of wonder back in then if actually the guy that they charged with that just took the fall for it.
Right, he was the patsy. Like, he was trying to get in
he's
place
a fall guy
to do it. Mm-hmm. And whenever he took those 5 shots, he hit people that he knew wasn't the president. Just to
he could have been the fall guy. I mean, yeah. I don't know. The other guys didn't have enough courage to do it. I don't know. There's a million things that can go on there. And again, I'm not saying any of this is happening. All I'm saying is this is what happens when you don't give the people common sense information and you treat the general people in America like a bunch of idiots that's incompetent and can't think for themselves. Well, then you start getting people like myself that's going to say, fine, you don't want to give me A, B, and C, and you leave B, C all over out. Then I'm going to fill in the blanks until you do. And that's where this is at with generally people across America right now. I hear, he was shot. The first thing I heard, there was firecrackers. I've heard it was loud clapping. I heard all this other, all this nonsense.
It's like all the mainstream
it's just like, at first, and then somebody was saying, yes, there was actual gunshots and, just numerous things. It's like you can't decipher through it all. And I swear by this, people, Biden starts making stupid comments from the jump. But what the media did, they took it. They're not there, man. They took this stuff. I swear they took it out. Or maybe it's so far down in the algorithms now that I just can't, that this other stuff is just taking over that I can't find it. But I'm like.
It's everywhere. It's hard not to see it. And every time someone posts another video of it, I'm like, man, I have to watch this again. And it's sad because I never thought in a million years I would see America come to this point.
I'm not surprised in the least bit. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. Surprised it didn't happen sooner. I mean, but that's how people are. Whenever I was growing up, and I'm not saying that there hasn't been assassinations and assassination attempts in the past, but when I was growing up, you just went outside for the figure, take it out back, you beat the crap out of each other, fist fight it out, and you go. Now you do that, the dude comes back with a bat. That don't work, comes back with a gun. It's just that's the society in elevation. People take things, like I was growing up, obviously, I had TVs, people, so don't even go there. But you didn't see all the looting and rioting when people don't get their way and all these stupid, I'm going to go burn down neighborhoods and buildings because because some political move was made to make some black guy or white guy a martyr. I mean, that's what the BLM is. I mean, you can call it what you want, but you can disagree with me all you like, and that's your prerogative. That's fine. That's called freedom of speech. I can say it. If you don't like it, that's fine. You can say what you want to. Comments are open. Have at it. But you didn't see this, but that's where we're at in this generation. This generation's also learning the hard way that history repeats itself. This generation is also the ones that's like Democrat. They're very Democrat leaning, and I think what's happening, what I'm starting to see, is they're going to say, no, I can start thinking for myself. So not that I'm saying I'm even Republican, but I ain't Democrat.
Yeah. Well, here's what scares me about the Donald Trump situation now is that with this J.D. Vance guy, he's going to. I mean, this literally the guy said that he did not like Trump, and that he did not like what happened on January 6th. Mm-hmm. So basically, he was like an anti-Trump dude.
He was a Republican, supposedly.
I know, and
he even donated. That was the point. Did you see that? That he had donated something? And here's the thing: it was $15.
Oh,
well, why even bring that up?
You're talking about crooks.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, that is sad.
Like he donated. He's a donor to this, and then I see this other one that actually started fact checking. It was like $15. Like,
yeah, $15.
What he did?
A Democrat organization.
He probably got on Facebook and be like, "That's a good cause."
Yeah, good job, Joe Biden.
You got baited.
Yeah, I know. And it's probably like some beautiful woman who said, "I'll talk to you for 15 minutes if you'll support Joe Biden right now."
Yeah.
Please.
Where's it at? Okay, here it is. Crook's political leanings were not immediately clear. Records show Crooks was registered as a Republican voter in Pennsylvania, but federal campaign finance reports also show he gave $15 to a progressive political action committee on January 20th, 2001, the day Biden was sworn into office. Okay, I got to do the math. He's 20 years. He would have been like 17? He wouldn't have been old enough to, I guess, depending on when his birthday was. I don't know when his birthday was, but either way. I mean, yeah, it's 21. Yeah, it's been 3 years. 3 years and some change. He's 20. He's been like 17. The kid's not even old enough to freaking vote, and he's giving money to whatever.
He was 20, yeah.
Yeah, he's 20, but in 2021 he wasn't.
Hey, that doesn't matter.
You know? Yeah, anyway, yeah, so he gave $15, you know? Like, that's such a minuscule amount. I mean, it all adds up to something, but it's making it out like, well, I can't believe you support the Democrats because you gave them $15. Yeah. You're a baby killer now. You're like, yeah, come on, it's $15, you know, and not every Democrat's bad, neither, and every Republican ain't good.
And we've all spent our money on, and that's the other thing too. They both suck. Yeah, can we just get that out of the way too? Doesn't matter who you vote for, and it's nothing on Donald Trump. It's just, look, man.
Oh my gosh,
both parties are there to work for themselves and each other. So, and we get the leftovers at best, if we're lucky. And most of the time, it ends up being a really crappy set of leftovers, if you know what I'm saying.
I'm sorry, I know I'm jumping back into something else, but here's what, I don't know if you've read this, so here's what it says. I didn't even know this, but the school had a rifle team. That's crazy in Pennsylvania. Anyway, Crooks tried out for the school's rifle team, but was turned, and this is anybody that's reading this, so I can quote on this, apnews.com. So you can come back at me and say, it's misinformation. You can gripe at them. I'm just reading it. He tried out for the school rifle team, but was turned away because he was a bad shooter, said a current captain of the team who was a few years behind Crooks at the school. Read on a little bit further, it says Jason Kohler, who said he attended the same high school but did not share any classes with him, said Crooks was bullied at school and sat alone at lunchtime. Other students mocked him for the clothes he wore, which included hunting outfits, he said. He was bullied almost every day, Kohler told reporters. He was just an outcast, and you know how kids are nowadays. Never had a class, and like, what'd you see him? 5 minutes in the hallway?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You don't know this kid.
Leave me alone.
You're a piece of crap. The person that said this, and I'll say it right on there, Jason Kohler, you're a piece of crap. I will say that to you. You have no class with him. You don't know him, and you sit there and seen this kid get picked on. It stuck out in your mind so bad that you can get on the news and vividly, you can remember it. You're a piece of crap for not standing up for that person. This kid was so bullied, he doesn't even know who he is. He was bullied so bad in front of him that he remembers it, and he did nothing. That's the problem with society. Yeah. And I bet
Yeah.
everybody else that's hearing this is saying the same thing. They're speechless. Why would you say such a thing? Because you are.
You know, but that takes real men to teach those young men, hey, here's what happens whenever you see someone who can't defend themselves.
Yeah, but here's what he goes on to say. He was just an outcast. You know how kids are nowadays. Yeah, kids nowadays will shoot you.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Yeah, I mean, but you see what I'm talking about? It's messed
Yeah,
up, man.
yeah.
Kids getting bullied and you do nothing. You call yourself a man? No. No, you're far from it. Go get some boobs and take some testosterone and
Oh
join the
my
other side of the club. Or, you know, maybe some testosterone might help you. I don't know. I'd being smart there. But, you know, I'm very passionate about that because that's a problem. You know, was this a political stunt that he said this? I have no idea. I have no stinking clue. But I don't understand from common sense. That's what people need to look at this. Common dang sense. I'm going to say it for like the third time. You see this kid getting bullied. You admit you don't have any class with him. You don't know him. You're not friends with him. Don't know this person. Don't know him. But it sticks out. It's ingrained in your mind. You've seen this kid get bullied. You've seen him get picked on. People talking crap. I mean, he even quotes some of the stuff. Mocked him for the way he dressed, the clothes he wore. So he had to hurt it. All these things.
Yeah, at some point.
And you imagine this is a nobody in your life. But it was stuck in his brain enough to he knew.
Yeah, he had a list.
Yeah. And he gets and the only thing he's got to say about it is the one person that tried to confirm some of these bullied. You're a piece of crap as far as I'm concerned.
I'm sorry.
Go find the bullied people and start standing up for them. And then maybe they wouldn't feel this way. So here's another way to look at it, Jason. Maybe if you'd actually befriended this kid, maybe you wouldn't have freaking went psycho. Again, why do I take such a hard stance on that? Because that's what some people, they just need a friend.
Yeah, literally just one.
You know? Who
You
cares?
don't have to
you
do
know?
it for very long. They find someone else. They just need you to start.
Yeah. You know, and the thing of it is, and I don't even, you know, which he probably won't. Hey, I'm on air, buddy. You want to come? You want to get on the show and try to defend it? Go ahead. I'll listen to your nonsense. I'll listen to your side of it. I'll gladly put you on here. You know, but that's the thing, man. You know, people, and very unlikely that I will anyway, because nobody wants to confront these issues on air anymore and be truthful about it. You know, but these things have to be addressed. You know, that's the problem. I'm not saying that if he was friends with him necessarily, it would have just fixed all, but that's the problem. We've got kids, we can talk about that, you know, bullied and picked on, and they do these stupid things. I believe that's a factor? You're darn right I do. They're messed up, and they just need somebody to love them. They need a friend. They need somebody to care about them. And you got people on the sideline, just like what we're talking about here, and that does nothing. You sit on the sidelines and do nothing. And then when something happens, you sit back, and then you want to be in the spotlight and complain about it and talk about it. No, you should just shut your mouth and be quiet, just like you were. You were doing this whole country just fine by keeping your mouth shut.
Well, and if you don't do that, then they try to find ways to make you do that. Or at least if you're speaking out in a actually aggressive manner, in the sense of, hey, they lie, and here's the truth, potentially. You know, one thing about and I guess I would say this and want to wrap it up from my side, but I really hope that as a country, we look at this as a stepping stone for the peace deal between Democrats and Republicans. I really wish Donald Trump would have picked Robert RFK Jr. instead of J.D. Vance, because I think that would have been, I don't know, just a more wiser pick and more balanced. But whatever, I don't get what I want because I'm not a president. But overall, make your decision at the ballots. Don't let anger and frustration start making you label entire groups of people one way or another. You know, like they tried to say he's a Republican. Look, at the end of the day, he's just a crazy person. How about that? It doesn't matter who he voted for. he was probably. I want to know everyone he voted for, so that way I probably don't vote for that person.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean,
unless
yeah.
he was straight line voting, then it's like, oh, look at that. That just shows you how crazy he was. So it, I really hope that people pay attention, and start using their voices for change in their local area rather than what Donald Trump or Joe Biden thinks they have to offer us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many. I mean, I can't even know that I can even answer a lot of how they tearing into a million other freaking things that our government screwed up on. Bottom line, people's got to figure out where their head's at. I'm not saying Trump should get a sympathy vote here, but I think he will.
Yeah, and I don't want to vote for anyone because poor you had some type of medical accident.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, the way he reacted, and I feel like the way he's going to continue to react, tells me, he's a real man who's ready to lead this country instead of someone who's hidden away in a tower, away from the people who, need a leader now more than ever.
You're right.
So that's where I'm at with it. I don't know. Anything else from your side?
No, I mean, this is one of those things I could deep dive into a lot of things. I just wanted to make sure that I'd said something correctly, and I did something. I'm going to go backwards on it. But no, there's a lot here to unpack, and people's going to have to start figuring this out and use common sense. Yes, I know the things we said people aren't going to agree with. And other people are like, yeah, you're saying the same thing that, I've been saying. You're going to see both sides, and you're going to see the people that's going to believe just exactly what the news is telling them, and it's not. People, I'm telling you, yeah, you should look at that. You should consider it, but you need to look for answers. And the thing of it is, we as American people deserve answers.
Instead of 1 to 2, look at 4 to 5.
Yeah, I don't care about this kid's history per se. I want to know. I want to know what happened.
Yep.
The truth behind it. The questions that I've raised, I'd like some answers to that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And one person's opinion ain't enough.
No.
So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like the show, make sure like it, drop a comment, let us know what you think. Make sure you subscribe, please. No, I'm just kidding. And share this with your friends. But I really am curious to know what you guys think. I wasn't trying to bash women, but on the other hand, I think they kind of failed at their job there. And, I know a lot of people have a lot to say whenever it comes to women. And
yeah, I got a lot to say to it, too. Anybody that's part of DEI, you can leave a comment, too, and you'll see your response.
Yeah, or come on the show and talk about it. No. But either way, have a great night.